In whatever you do, make sure you create, explore, expand, and most importantly, conquer. Sunrise Thoughts, brought to you by 348 Select. On today's episode of Morning Brew Winning Routine, we are joined by Zama, better known as Amy Zama, here to give us her insight on how to brew the perfect work environment for success. You could mention her work with Zama or Levi's or the countless ads she's been a part of, and that still doesn't come near who Amy is, as a creative or a human. But the closest you could say is that she's the maker, the fixer, and the seller. Thank you, Amy, for joining us on today's episode of Morning Brew, hosted by myself, Lozima Donzel.
My name is Zama. Many of you guys know me as Amy Zama. Sort of as an all-round creative, I've been doing a lot of things, but in no particular order. The things that I do mainly is I am the style curator of Levi's House of Strauss Africa. I'm a freelance fashion stylist and creative director. I'm a contributing editor for Faculty Press and an image curator. I'm a stage manager for Backyard as well. I have been in fashion or in the fashion industry particularly since the end of 2015, so 5-6 years of just me finding new ways of expanding myself through all these different mediums.
Curate and maintain cultural connections. Bridge the gap with your abilities. Through everything Amy does, the core of abilities is enhancing the brand's image, amplifying it and giving it the Amy stamp, be it working with musicians like Muzi and Una Rams, or global brands like Tibe Magugu and Levi's. Amy is at the helm of amplifying the brands in any capacity she decides to take on. A multi-year journey that has led Amy through image curation, stage management, creative direction, and embodying anything she's put to the task. So whatever you're thinking creatively, always be the solution.
What is my winning formula? I honestly and truly don't have one. I strongly just believe in really pushing yourself to constant progression in whatever you're doing as a creative. I also say constant progression, obviously, because we never really make it to perfect. I'm also learning to also just really exercise my creative confidence in a lot of facets of my jobs and do it wholeheartedly. And lastly, I would also say another factor to the methods that I use as a creative is always just seeing the bigger picture and being able to always, first and foremost, try and reach a point in the end of my creative process where it feels healthy as a creative output for myself first before I even send it out to like the internet or social media or whatever the case may be.
In the pursuit of cultivating your strengths, it's key to align with strong mentors, not as a pillar, but as a viewpoint of someone who's traveled the path you'd one day want to take. Hearing how one has made it will give you the willpower to stay consistent in your path, even when in doubt.
I'm honestly driven by God first and foremost, by motivating myself, or rather my younger self, to make my own self proud in how boldly I get to choose to live my life through my careers and just being a creative in this day and age. I'm also very much driven by my mentors and my friends' successes and their journeys. I feel like that's something that's really added a layer towards me going forward and pushing through in my own creative journey. I also feel like there's so many reasons to stay driven for your own life, really, and just being grateful for being the best person that you can be, especially because we're in an industry, or we all are fellow peers in industries where we live amongst icons. So it's very, very, very motivating and makes one stay driven to want better for themselves. That's how I just look at life. I also just honestly believe in moving forward through obstacles and challenges, which can be the last driver or the last driving factor that I am driven by, I guess.
Thank you for listening to this episode with Zama. You can support the show by subscribing to our YouTube channel, 348 Select. The soundtrack for this series has been produced by Dubula. The show is recorded and edited by Msindi Suesiku.